people walk by graffiti on a wall and they say that's not art, but how are they an art critic? How can any one person tell another person that one thing isn't art when to that person it could be the most beautiful thing they've ever done or seen?
I didn't even know what graffiti was when I started doing it. Like, I learned it from this kid in this neighborhood I was doing. I always did art, you know, like I was always about art. And this kid was doing, like, taking people's names and putting lightning bolts and making the letters connect and shit, you know? And I was like, fuck, dude, that's fucking cool. Started doing it.
We all live in cities where, you know, there's tons of billboards, there's things constantly in your face from advertisers, so I think it's kind of a reaction in a way to say that, you know, this is our place too, and corporations shouldn't own it all.
My name's Laurie Rasmussen, and I'm the president of Goodbye Graffiti in Seattle, and we remove graffiti.
This is a situation of a criminal activity, and it's costing our neighborhoods dearly, and it's costing our city dearly, it's costing our nation dearly. It is a multi-billion-dollar impact, negative impact, and the resources required to remove graffiti and address this issue are significant. And down to the local neighborhood level, if you're walking down the street and you're seeing a lot of debris and trash, and then of course you look up and you see graffiti, it starts to, you know, remind people and resemble chaos in some way, and so it brings personal public safety into question. So we really want to sort of bridge a gap, so to speak, between the youth and the individuals creating this graffiti, and try to get them to understand that this is, while one person may see it as an art or a message that they're conveying, it's still damaging and costing millions of dollars to remove it.
Just accept that the people who are working on it don't have anything against you. They're doing it for the love of art and the love of the idea of community. And that art is an important part of that.
For someone to express themselves by defacing the property, that's wrong. If they want to express themselves, that's fine, but they need to find the correct medium to do it.
From where I sit, this utility spends approximately over $1 million a year cleaning up that stuff.
People that get paid to cover up graffiti, that's your job. You need to stop bitching about it, because without graffiti, you'd be out of a job. So really, we're providing jobs for the community and people who gotta go and clean it up. It's an ongoing system. It's like brushing your teeth, you know? You can brush your teeth one day, but the cavities and the bacteria and the plaque are gonna come back, so you gotta keep brushing every day. It's how it goes. It's life. It's a circle of life.
And it follows the broken window theory. Where you see graffiti, you'll see litter. Where you see those two things, you'll see other crimes. It's a proven fact.
If I like pull up and pull the crates out and do a thing on the side of the wall and everyone's seeing me, I'm not gonna rob your house. You know who I am. You know what my car looks like. I'm not gonna go kicking in any door see like that's the dude who was painting there the other day.
There isn't very many options out there for some people right now, and you know, I don't think it's necessarily the graffiti's fault. I think it's a whole host of issues going on.
But yes, marijuana is a gateway drug, and graffiti is a gateway crime. What are you gonna do about it? There's gateways. People have choices what gates they go through. So
it can also be, graffiti can be a gateway to a career. I mean,
also,
I've worked with several of the people that I worked with on different murals before I met these guys, and after, have gone from being graffiti artists to getting huge contracts with sneaker companies and gallery shows, and flying to Japan for you know, a wall in Japan. I mean, it can be a gateway to amazing things as well.
Been painting for 18 years and started painting trains in West Seattle when I was about 12, 13 years old. I got busted like 5 times, and now I'm, you know, painting free walls and painting whatever I can. Go, 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 hurry, hurry, hurry. Hurry, up, Dan, up. Get it. Hey, don't stand in the middle of these trains. This train can move at any second. I write biker, and the reason why I write biker is I also ride BMX bikes. I was sponsored by a big corporation as a professional bike rider, and I had this interview in a large magazine, and I basically said I am a graffiti writer and I write biker. And so the next day I went to the corporation, and they read the interview and said that I incriminated them and their company, so my contract is going to be over at the end of the year. And I was trying to explain it to them that I'm not just out there, you know, tagging on buses and street signs. I also do this as an art form, and they didn't get it. And as a result of that, I actually lost my contract.
We need to either, I don't know, keep kids from getting driver's license, call it a felony, it will affect their college scholarship, but we need to do something. That's what we need to do. And we're not stepping up, we're not doing it. We're putting all the pressure on the victim. And that's what bothered me most of all. I've talked to a lot of these kids, and they've told me, well, it's my First Amendment right to tag your building. That's a public building, I own it. First of all, get a job and pay taxes, then you'll understand about ownership. Second of all, your First Amendment rights stop where they enter into my square foot of space.
I got enlightened to the downtown world, hanging out downtown at the skate, the skate session at Wesley. Everybody knows about Wesley, dude. And this cat Space hits me up one day. He's like, "Hey man, you do graffiti?" I'm like, "No, I don't do graffiti." Dude, he's like, "You do art?" I'm like, "Yeah, I do art, bro." He's like, "Well, you got a little art book?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got an art book, man." I showed him up. He's like, "Whoa, you got sick letter styles." I'm like, "Letter styles? What are you talking about?" He's like, "Yeah, you do graffiti." I'm like, "Nah, I don't do graffiti." He's like, "Yeah, look at that shit." I'm like, "Huh." Didn't even know what the fuck it was. So he's like, "So what's your tag name?" Fuck, I didn't have any idea what the fuck tag name was, dude. He's like, "What's your nickname?" I'm like, "Well, the kids at school call me Chips." He's like, "That's your name, bro." I'm like, "Really? Okay, cool."
It was a movement that grew. It wasn't just a bunch of crap that people were doing. It was really something that people believed in, and that's great, you know. But now that there's so many people doing it, it's high stakes for city governments. And I mean, like we were talking today, there's third-party businesses, right, that do that. Like the battle between the graffiti and the clean wall, it's like high stakes game, you know. There's people getting years in jail for it.
You know, I have to protect myself from chemicals. Let's go. What am I gonna do now? I'm just gonna spray my chemicals on. You know, I'm gonna use a wire brush and then run my hose up here, pressure wash it, and the job will be done. It's called suck truck because because of the vacuum, because we suck all the chemicals. But I don't think I'm not gonna be able to use it right now because of the stairs. So water won't really stay in one place. It's all about safety. I'm gonna get my chemicals, then start working on it. What are the chemicals that you're using? Well, I don't even know what it is, to be honest, yeah.
esto, parece really careful, looking at these.
Well, I think it's getting even worse. I mean, well, there's so much graffiti everywhere, you know. We're always busy. And, you know, and that's good for us because, you know, we get paid for doing this and hey, I think it's perfect.
That's not counting what the mom and pop shops have to spend, because when I get a complaint from a citizen, I have to send an enforcement letter threatening to fine them $100 a day up to $5,000.
So they have to do something immediately, you know, they have to take care of it right now, real quick. So yeah, it is kind of frustrating for people to just keep, you know, they try to keep their building, you know, nice and clean, but, you know, people just keep tagging buildings, you know. So, you know, I think it's kind of hard for them to keep paying, you know, every month to have us go and clean up their building. So yeah, so it's always a headache.
If you want to say something, say it, by all means. But you don't need to say it in an unlawful manner. And you don't need to say it in a way that causes economic hardship for your neighbors.
When people were first originally doing it in the subways and stuff, they had never heard. I mean, graffiti wasn't an issue. They had all these cool colors like avocado and, you know, all these crazy 70s colors and ice blue, jungle green, icy grape. I mean, just really, you know, old school colors and stuff. But once graffiti started hitting LA and everything, they started making it illegal to buy it unless you were 18. And it just really it turned an art form into a crime. And well, it's like with any renegade movement, you know, there's things that are going on. The people in the community need to be heard. So, you know, if they're not given an avenue to be heard, you have to go to college, you have to go 4 years, you got to go to this to be heard. People are just gonna say fuck it and go to the street and say, you know what, you're gonna listen to me regardless. Well, that's just how it's gonna be.
You're willing to pay the consequences, continue to doing what you're doing, but I'll guarantee you that one or two things are going to happen. If you continue to vandalize somebody's property, somebody's going to shoot you. If you continue to crawl up on the freeway, talk about your right on the skies, you're going to fall off into traffic. Nothing good is going to come from it, guaranteed.
I've climbed up onto the I-5 signs and across the freeway, climbing up poles, climbing up barbed wire fences, and throwing spray cans at each other while we're up there, and you know, it's definitely fun. It's just very risky.
The difference between art and graffiti is permission.
The difference between graffiti and art is permission.
The difference between graffiti and art is permission. Bottom line, if I didn't ask for it, don't want it. Bottom line.
2002, the Belltown neighborhood looked around and realized that graffiti was really getting a strong hold in that neighborhood. So they organized the first paint out.
represent Starbucks that are within the downtown area, and we are working with the Pioneer Square community to paint out downtown Seattle. So we're covering up any graffiti and picking up glitter that we see along the way.
Us three, we're from the Reynolds work release, and so this gives us an opportunity to give back to the community.
You've got individuals that say, well, yeah, I'll be a field inspector. I'll email the city every time I see, tags on this particular property, or every time I see suspicious activity or paint cans or what have you. I'll let people know.
My opinion of graffiti is lack of respect. I think that a lot of people will compare graffiti with art, but I think that the big difference between graffiti and art is permission.
What do you have in there? A bottle of whiskey?
Yeah.
Can I have that spray? Where are the razors? For some reason, it's not really coming. So cute. There's a little evil monkey dragon. I can't get it down.
My job is not to change people's minds. I'm gonna keep doing what I keep doing, and they keep doing what they keep doing, and we'll see who wins. Basically. We've been doing it for a long time. You can't ever destroy it. It'll never go away. It's in every single country and every single across the world. I mean, even the United States, when they went up to the moon, they tagged the moon by putting a big old flag on top of that shit. Like, bam, I was here, Same shit, except you got more money. Every time you put up a billboard, every time you put up an advertisement, every time you put up McDonald's right in front of my fucking face, that's an advertisement. It's just tagging. That's just putting that shit right in front of my face, scrawling a McDonald's hamburger in front of my face, you know what I'm saying? So if I come along or someone puts up a mural or a tag or whatever, just charge it to the game and realize that that's marketing.
First time I ever did some graffiti, I was about 12 years old. My friend told me about tagging. He was a couple years older than me. We went and tagged up this bathroom, like right behind my apartment complex. Cops showed up at my door because I used my real name and shit. And so that was the first time I ever did graffiti, first time I got arrested for graffiti. Started evolving from there, started bombing, getting big, rollers, you know what I'm saying? And probably about 2000, the first day of 2000, January 1st, I did my first piece on the legal wall with Charms. Charms basically just brought me into the game, taught me a little bit more, introduced me to a bunch of people, got me painting trains, just started killing it. I've always loved bombing though. Bombing's my favorite. Bombing and tags and just something that I'm in love with. I love to walk around the city and see new shit up. You know what I'm saying? New writers I know or writers I don't know or writers that are just coming in or writers who haven't hit up for a while. It's good to see, man. It feels like you're not alone. You know what I'm saying? In this big fucking gray world.
The more graffiti that's out there, the better chances we have on doing bigger and better shit. So, say some kid runs up on a wall and just does a tag, and then there ends up being more tags. Then eventually, if that business owner doesn't like it, he might have an upscale artist come and do pieces on the wall.
There's some thugs and there's some people that you don't want to cross, but for the most part, it's artists that didn't want to be go to some ballet school or some shit like that where you gotta, draw some naked fat chick for hours and hours, Graffiti's not like that. You get to go, express yourself, be who you are. There's some people that go and paint on churches, and there's some people that go and do different things, but you can't change that. There's assholes in every bunch of people, even from people that are on the school board. I'm sure there's a bunch of dicks on there. Matter of fact, I know there is, you know what I'm saying? So, there's bad apples in every bunch. But what you got to realize is that there's a positive side to this, and that's what we're focused on. Because you're not talking to a cat that's tagging on your building. You're not talking to a cat that's smashing in your windows, and you're not talking to a cat that's defacing your church. You're talking to an artist, someone who's trying to better the community, trying to help people, and all I get is shot in the foot every time I try to help somebody or try to come in and do something because of the stigma that comes along with it.
I get excited when I paint out those large tags, though. I love that stuff because sometimes I go on site and I actually find these guys' practice pads. you know, a lot of this, the really pretty ones are premeditated. Because they're artists. That's truly what they're doing. And so a lot of times, sometimes they forget and leave their artwork on the side, but it's kind of funny. And those are the ones I really get a thrill out of painting over, because this person probably spent, I don't know, the entire night doing it. And so for me to paint it out, it just makes me feel so good.
Growing up, I was never interested in really expressing myself artistically when it came to bombing. You know, it was just about vandalizing and sort of making my mark and saying fuck you to the world. There is an ethics code at play, you know. I know guys that won't deface certain things, and, you know, don't want to deface private property or anything church related or school related, or, you know, it's different for everybody. I've had experiences, run-ins with authorities, and then ultimately I just figured it wasn't really worth it anymore. Stopped bombing, you know, a few years after that, and really developed my style to be more self-contained and be relevant on a canvas level, so I could, you know, display it in a gallery setting.
See, I have to answer the phone every day and hear little old ladies who are afraid because they think gang members are coming to, I don't know, arrest them, rape them, rob them, whatever, because they don't understand this and this stuff. This is a new age thing, and it scares those old people. And not only that, the ordinance says that they have to clean up within 10 days. They are not physically capable of cleaning it up time and time again. So those are the kind of calls I get.
You know, sometimes we get calls from the police department and they say that they've apprehended somebody and can we send them photos. We keep quite an extensive archive of the tags that we have removed. But, I mean, my guys have never been attacked. My technicians have never been confronted or anything like that.
The other thing that I do say is we'd rather you convey your message in the privacy of your own home, on your own walls.
You only have so much room at your own house to try to paint on, and once you do a good piece of work at your own house and you don't want to go over it, where else to move to besides another piece of property?
But you have to go back to the philosophy of permission. It wasn't his property. If he didn't have permission to do that, then that's a crime.
While someone might feel that it's their entitlement to post that message, we feel, you know, it might be my entitlement to remove that message.
Lake City Way's got so many people. People are just like randomly emailing us, honking, and they're stoked. They're like, oh, now my commute isn't like wall, gross stuff. They're like, it's this bright thing to look at.
Lake City in general gets no love from really anybody. Everybody calls it Lake Shitty and makes fun of it. And then, you know, you get to know people that actually live there, and they deserve public art just like people living in Queen Anne do, just like people living in, you know, other areas that tend to get more of the government dollars for those kind of things. We wanted to go to places that don't normally get that.
I just think that if you're gonna tag or if you're gonna bomb, you gotta make it count, and you gotta make it worth something to the viewer, you know, something that's going to be a little more than just throwing up your set or your name, maybe making a statement that's gonna make people think.
No, but I guess it's a free one. Sorry about that. You scared the crap out of me.
That is very nice.
Really?
Yeah, I like that. You got good control over the line.
I appreciate the compliment.
Yeah.
Is this a city mural deal?
Free wall. Yeah. The property owner doesn't care, so. There, keep it up.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Original American art form.
All right. There you go. Cops showed up and they weren't hassling us, so that's what's up.
Once corporate America got a piece of it and tried to sell things with it, you know, I don't want to be negative, but I'm a little soured on it. Yet I keep doing it. I still have like 600 cans of spray paint at my house, but you know, whatever.
One day you'll pay for it. Whether you'll either be, you know, you might spend some community service time and learn a little bit more about the reality of what you're doing, or it might be, you know, as a taxpayer one day. But some way you'll pay for it. Your parents are paying for it. Right now.
It's become more than just pop art and more than just an alternative art form. It's become something more, and it'll always be remembered as sort of this time period's signature style.